Okay, the next step is to set up the in-feed guide for your material. Now, when you change out the first set of rollers, the first cassette on the right-hand side, it may change the position that the fixed side in-feed guide needs to stay on, or needs to move to. So if you notice here, we have a little notch out, and on the guide itself, there's a little pin that's kind of indented in. All you're going to do is loosen the two bolts using a 9/16 wrench. Get it loosened so that when you look through that slot, that pin lines up. So if it were to come up, the pin would be inside of that notch. Tighten down your in-feed. Keeps it from moving. Still lined up, so we're good on this side. We need to adjust the other side based on whatever material width that you're putting into it. So I have a small sample piece of material here. So my material's too loose in here. So what I want to do is make sure I have this side loosened. Make sure I'm fixed on my fixed side. Pull the other guide in so I still have movement. And tighten it down. Double check my material. It still moves freely, so we're set. And I don't have any side-to-side movement on it either. Now, we need to move the adjustable side so that that same pin and that notch line up, and we're just a little bit off here. Move it in. Okay. So our pin, our notch line up. So now we have the cassettes all set up for the material. What we would do now is start up the machine, run the material through so that it gets just before the shear, so that we can adjust the shear blades and change out the pieces on the end. Okay, now before we actually run material into the machine, I want to show you a couple of things about the shear. Depending on the profile that you make, you may have to change out the very first shear blade, and you may also have to change out the profile guides. Now the profile guides vary based on whatever profile you're making, of course, but you also have a front and a back one. So what you want to do is have them ready. You can get them somewhat in place before the material comes in, especially the back ones, because you want to leave enough room so that you can work back there. Front ones you can leave off until the material comes in and then line them up a little better. But the back ones, you just want to make sure that when you jog the material up, you have a good idea as to where they go and you can line them up. Now, if you notice on this profile guide here, we have a sensor. The sensor detects whether there's metal on the outside of it or not. I've got a profile guide here that shows the two bolts that bolt that sensor on. These bolts don't have to come out. All you have to do is loosen it, and the sensor slides up and pulls off. So you can get it out of the way, put the new profile guide on, and just slide it back down and tighten these up to keep it in place. Okay, so again, we're going to bring the material forward. We'll have our backs pretty close to in position. Once the material gets up close enough where we can really see where it's at and guide it in, we'll position them correctly. We can move the material out, line up the front ones, and then do a test cut.